What is up, everybody? It is Lo, your host, and we have Brando and Drew back. Alex couldn't make it because Alex is doing almost PT doctorate things. So he'll be finishing that up shortly. So shout out to him. We're back for 2 weeks in a row, which is honestly incredible this year because it has been quite a year. And we have a guest coming on, Logan Quinton, after a while. He's going to give us all the lowdown with baseball, but first we're going to talk basketball. Vols ended their season with a loss at Auburn. We predicted, 2 out of 3 or whatever. I was kind of expecting it. They did not play as badly, truthfully, as I expected them to play. It was at least a game all the way up until, the very end. I'm not saying that that's like fantastic. Like they could have won the game, but I'm also saying watching 2 absolutely horrid performances and losses against Kentucky, it was nice to at least see them play better basketball even without Zakai. I don't know what you guys thought about it.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that bad. Brando, your microphone's still muted. This is a tradition on the show.
You started talking, man. I was saying, it's your point across. Since I guess we're changing the order.
But, I didn't really have an issue with the performance. We actually shot fairly decent for the most part. 47% from the 3 and 47% from the field. But, only 7 points in the last 6 minutes of the game, which was just such a ball buster, and 63% from the free throw line. 12 for 19. It's terrible. And this team is just such a liability at the free throw line, and it's incredibly frustrating because if you're getting at the basket, 15, 20 times, you got to make 75, 80% of those. There's zero excuse to shoot under 70% in the free throw line. Really no excuse for 80. But it was going to be a tough game. Auburn's one of the toughest places to play in the SEC, and this was a huge game for their tournament chances too. So Auburn's going to bring their A game. So I hate it because I hate Stephen Pearl with a passion, but it was kind of expected, and hopefully they can be able to rebound back tomorrow, facing either South Carolina, hopefully, or Ole Miss.
Yeah, I wasn't too upset with the performance. Being without our Naismith Defensive Player of the Year nominee. Obviously, he was, good to see him travel there with the team all the way down to the Plains. A really close game all the way up to the top. Auburn is kind of, easing away at the end. I'm glad we got all those looks though. That's my biggest takeaway from it is, even though it was a suffering loss and Rick just wouldn't let it go. We got a lot of late game experience moments, and with this team, obviously being down with your experience, get those kind of things going into tournament play in March. Really enjoyed that. Obviously our guard play is going to be a hit, so I was really kind of confused with Olivier only getting 8 minutes in the second half there. That was kind of surprising. Rick Barnes putting his foot down, kind of letting it be known. That's going to have to be something that, gets fixed if he can find that alpha in him. Olivier has to be a leader on this team. But I wasn't too upset. I think we kind of all expected it, going into the SEC play, get kind of healthy, maybe try to win your first 2 games. If you can make a run into the tournament, win the SEC title, do that. But also, let's get ready for March because we have a lot to kind of figure out about our team, and it's not all just going to be fixed by playing games.
Yeah,
absolutely. And, as Vol Twitter does, everyone erupted over that loss with absolutely ridiculous takes. And once again, it's the same old, same old. Everyone's like, BJ Edwards deserves to be out there. And I'm just like, these coaches know way better than your ass in your basement. He needs to be on the court in March. I'm sorry. That's no hate against the dude. But I'm pretty sure them spending countless hours a week watching everyone at practice, they know who the hell to put on the court.
It's not just that, but even if you watch them play, Tennessee needs a guard, a point guard especially, where they're willing to drive to the basket and draw fouls and be physical. And all the games that BJ's played, he hasn't done that. Even when they're running a motion offense, he just stays at the corner hoping that someone would give him the ball. He doesn't move. He's a liability on defense. He's been average at best when he does get opportunities to shoot. And it's not any disrespect towards Kiggs. I think he's a very good player, but he is nowhere even close, remotely ready to play right now. At least with Meshack, as much crap as I gave him start of the year, the guy's one of the best defenders, especially in the guard position that we have. And he's proven that time and time after again. And he's only improved offensively. BJ hasn't shown either way. And so it's incredibly frustrating, I know. And like, don't get me wrong, I wish we had a point guard right now, because Vescovy is not it. Vescovy is awful at handling the basketball. But we would be shooting ourselves in the foot and basically playing with 4 guys on the court if we had BJ out there. And that's just the reality of it.
That's kind of, even like with Tyreek Key, like, I guess you just got to keep on shooting, man. But like you said, like that alpha isn't coming from our point guards to kind of get to the basket. You're seeing Triple J kind of trying to be that alpha dog and, get more up top. But also, even though Shaq's not going to hit his shots, Shaq, he's been, being a dog. He's like that one guy, I feel like no matter what, when the ball's in his hands, like if he's desperate, knows the team's desperate, he's going to drive to the basket, try to pick up a foul. He might not hit his free throws, but man, like that guy is at least the guy that's like trying to be a dog and get some kind of life in it. So that was kind of good to see. But I think, defensively, we kind of know what we have. This team is great. But when it comes to guard play, getting the ball inside or even just like changing, like it's just awful. And then you kind of see them panic. I've been seeing like to get to that panic where they just kind of freak out. Like you have to go out there and just dominate, man. Like you have to be confident. We don't have that dog.
Yeah. And I mean, and like just to go on a rant here, because like all those tweets I saw on Saturday, as you two know, pissed me off. I mean, I was having a nice vacation and I still would be like fucking furious over it. I mean, you have guys on there like and from some part of our fan base, not all, but a good portion of our fan base that just continues to believe this mindset that like Rick Barnes can't develop players. And they'll be like, well, look at DJ Burns at NC State. DJ Burns had played at Winthrop for 3 years to even be game-ready condition. And even then, he's been mediocre in conference. Drew Pember plays against a bunch of janitors over there at UNC Asheville. And Brandon Huntley Hatfield plays on the worst team, one of the worst teams in the history of college basketball at Louisville this year. So this whole entire mindset that like a lot of these guys that's left the team and they wound up doing better things is fucking bullshit. I mean, it just is. So it's just I just had to get that out. I just had to let my heart out on that one because that shit really pissed me off on Saturday.
I mean, we all talked about it on the show, like not really all being invested in that, kind of seeing what they can put together, like getting hyped for our seed and like SEC play. Well, the 3 seed was like out the window. We're still playing Thursday, but like it's just all crazy that we're like ended up tied with Vanderbilt and seeding. Like it blows my mind. It absolutely does. And here I was on my Saturday, like you said, enjoying a vacation. I was at the Humane Society walking dogs that don't have homes. That's what this fan base is right now, man. It's a bunch of stray puppies that are just sad, man. Like we're just like waiting for something to be happy about. Like we don't have a reason. Like we've seen it before. We know they're gonna come out there and play. Like just get behind. Like we got what we got. Get behind them and let's ride.
And that's the crazy thing. We're still going to be a 3 fucking seed in the tournament. Like we're still going to be a 3 or 4 seed, and we're bitching. Like I don't understand this fan base. We lost our best point guard. We've been short a couple of guys majority of the season. Where if it's Triple J or Julian Phillips, and like we still managed to wind up being a 3 seed, if not the top 4 seed, which is not a bad spot to be in right now.
You're so right. And I remember, I wish I was like screenshot king like DR Vol, but
oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember some of these tweets that were like, it was probably January, start of February, and people were like, we may not even make March Madness. We may not even make the tournament. And like fully believing that. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like I know better than anyone that I have some emotional breakdowns in Twitter, but I also know damn well that there was no way that they were going to just completely miss the tournament. Like you said, we're literally 3 seed, 4 seed, great seeding. And honestly, I really like if we get put where they're predicting us in Greensboro. I love that bracket. I think that would be a pretty good bracket for us, to be quite honest.
I mean, here we are in Nashville. Like I was kind of hoping that like somehow my off day, obviously I wanted to see us play. Now I'm hoping we get to Saturday, but at the same time, like this whole fan base kind of like weird right now is if we win, we're going to win tomorrow, hopefully make it to Saturday, play like a Bama again. If we get that rematch for the 3rd time, like if we win that game, or even if it's a competitive game, this whole fan base on that Saturday is going to be locked into that game in the SEC tournament. Bridgestone Arena is going to be erupting. Everyone's going to think Tennessee, Bama. We all know about what happened in football and like beating them in the in TBA this year. Like, I think that place is going to be electric. I think all in all, like we're all checked out right now, but it takes, one thing to get behind this team. And if we can go out there, win that, make it to Sunday, like who knows what happens. Obviously, if we end up in Greensboro, I think that's the most favorable thing. this team could easily, make a run. We've been so used and kin to having like good years. Last year winning the SEC tournament, the year before that undefeated at home in TBA, just being blessed and blessed and blessed. This year we had some hiccups in the road, but I feel like, maybe we needed that. Maybe it's going to be something that obviously we're down our best defender on the team, one of our best players and our best guard. But at the same time, like I feel like this team has seen enough this year to kind of go into the tournament play. Anything can happen in March. We know that. It's all a neutral site. And it's going to be kind of crazy just to see because it's a different kind of feel for Tennessee. Like we've been so confident going into it, saw how it turned out. Now this team has been through it. I want to see how they kind of react to that adversity.
Well, I mean, and this team has been great defensively all season, and that's one thing you can rely on. And I'm just hoping that we could find a way starting tomorrow to go on a run offensively where we can have a couple of guys out there that can be reliant and have confidence shooting the ball. And I think BasketVols is starting to be back to 100%. He looks quicker. He's been shooting better the last few games as well. But like literally, we just need that one guy, whether if it's going to be Triple J or Kamwa, because I mean, we'll be real, BasketVols not it. He's not going to be that guy that's going to like take the ball in his hands and try to make a play happen. But we got to have that one player steps up, and this team has plenty of talent. Like there's plenty of guys out there that could be that guy, and this team has shown that on their A day that they can beat any team in the country. I mean, we've seen that time and time after again, whether it was against Kansas, against Texas, against Alabama, or even arguably even against Arizona, when we lost that game. But it's now or never though, and they got to start tomorrow night with it.
Well, and the other thing, all the adversity that they have faced builds character, and it's not, it shows them that everything is not handed to you. I mean, they have to work their asses off for it, and they have had to deal with that all season, and they're still in a phenomenal position to make something out of this. And if I'm Rick Barnes, I'm telling these guys that it's all in their hands. They have the fundamentals. They have the defense. They have the ability to drive to the basket. They have people that can lead that team, and they can certainly shoot when they want to. It's just, can you guys put it all together? Can you guys formulate as a team and, get through game by game? That's really all it is. You've seen some of these teams that have made these stretches and streaks in the tournament that people never thought. That's why it's called March Madness. It's why it's fucking crazy. You don't know.
North Carolina last year is a perfect example. I mean, they barely made the tournament as a 9 seed, got an early exit in the conference tournament, and they cruised to the national title game. So like anything can happen. But
I look at guys like Santee, Euros, Olivier, Triple J, Vescovi, guys that have been here. They've seen the good like all through the regular season. They've seen the bad in March. They've seen everything. They've seen what's happened to this team this year. They have to step up. What do you want your legacy to be like when you leave Tennessee? What do you want that final note and that final chapter to be in this March? And I think that's going to be something they might have to use as motivation this time around. That the legacy of them, like what they've brought to Tennessee athletics over all these years, they got to go out with a bang. And I think it's going to be on their top of the mind, doing it for Zakai, obviously, but obviously doing it for them. And like this team, this group of guys has been, elite, brought a different kind of, reaction to Tennessee like basketball and TBA. And for everything they've went through, Triple J and Euros and all those eligibility, injuries, everything like that, like it just has to be a good note ending. They deserve it.
Well, one thing you just mentioned, Zakai, that just sparked a thought in my head, because if anyone paid attention to when they interviewed Zakai during the Auburn game, he was like, oh my God, I see so many things that, the coaches see that I've never seen. And sometimes it takes someone else to tell you shit to listen. And who better than Zakai to communicate to his own teammates about, hey guys, I know that, Coach Barnes has drilled this into you, but I see it too. Maybe try this instead, or maybe make this cut instead. Sometimes it just takes that little extra. And I loved Zakai's positive spin, taking something so terrible that happened to him and being like, I think this is going to make me a better player because of me evaluating the game, seeing what the coaches see. And that could even be a factor for this team as well. Who knows? I mean, Zakai may be basically player coach out there and be able to get to these guys. Who knows? But, the other thing, myself included, we all forget as fans is that we want it so bad, and these guys want it 10 times more. they aren't out there just working their ass off, spending countless hours in the practice gym and watching film and studying and traveling and doing all this shit just to do it. They want the win too, so you just we got to level back out, put ourselves in their shoes and just hope for the best and hope that they can get it done. And moving, forward into us playing tomorrow, we're playing the winner of Ole Miss, South Carolina. Obviously, I think it's unanimous that we all want South Carolina over Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We only beat them by 4 earlier in the season, but right now the score is 44 Ole Miss, 41 South Carolina, and they're already in bonus with 11:47 left in the second half.
Sheesh. Hey, man, Auburn was out there shooting free throws like crazy. That's all I'm going to say. It was crazy. The Plains was a different experience, man. All I can say is that the Plains and the Revs down there, they had that whole experience in Tuscaloosa against Bama the week or prior to that week, and then we went down there to the Plains. I feel like we just got the kind of medicine left over from that. It was crazy, but all in all, we played South Carolina twice. The same things happened twice. Deja vu. Their coach even said it. They don't know what the problem is when they play Tennessee. I don't know if the third time is the charm or what, but I definitely think, obviously, on paper, you favor that matchup. I just think this team is too dominant. And then, obviously, I know the Triple J and, Julian Phillips being from South Carolina, it's like a hometown feel for a lot of guys. So,
that should be a game either way that we should not have an issue. I'm going to have major concerns if we're struggling against Ole Miss tomorrow if they do wind up winning. And South Carolina, we should win that game by at least 15 points. We've beaten them twice this year by 40. So, I think 15 is pretty favorable to ask.
Respectfully.
But I think, I actually kind of favor a little bit of our rematch up against Mizzou on Friday if we do face them, because I got a feeling this team is going to bounce back against them, and they've still have not forgotten about that heartbreaking loss at home as well. And Missouri is the type of team where they heavily rely on the three-pointer. So if on a neutral site, anything can happen. Obviously, it's going to be predominantly a Tennessee crowd over Missouri for sure, in Nashville. But, if they go cold, there's zero reason for us to not win that game pretty handily too. So I think it's an interesting time. I think you're going to see a lot of guys that have to step up, and kind of back to Brando's point, this is for a lot of guys like Kamwa, Euros, Triple J, Santee. This is it. This is the end of the road for them. Maybe the exception of Triple J might come back next year, but how are they going to end their time at Tennessee? And I think you're going to see guys, not saying that they haven't given 100%, but give that extra 15, 20% on top of that in these next string of games, because they know this is it as far as their college career goes.
The only thing I'm kind of sad about is looking at the other side of the bracket and looking at, Vanderbilt, they have to go through, play Kentucky again eventually. And it looks like, in my opinion, just prior to this season, everything that's happened, that A&M is probably going to come out of that side, just with how dominant they've been. My only thing is if we make it to Sunday, how sad I'm going to be that it's not against Vanderbilt or Kentucky. But
fuck that, dude. I just want a title.
I was in Memorial Gym. It was awful. I was in Bridgestone against college. It was just not fun.
Brother, it could be against Sister Jean by herself.
I'm going Saturday.
I still want to give two shits.
I'm going Saturday, and I swear on everything, we have to just win this game. I cannot be 0-3 in Tennessee basketball games. There's just no shot.
Well,
we're going to lose to Alabama on Saturday if we play.
We got to get through tomorrow. I'm not taking anything out of the question here.
I hate South Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, I hate both of them. I hate Ole Miss so much more. Fuck Ole Miss.
Now, speaking of Ole Miss, did you guys see who's their top candidate for their next head coach position? Former Texas head coach Chris Beard.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so, they were saying they were doing a background check on him, see if he fits with their culture, which I think having someone that just got accused of domestic violence paired with a football coach that has cheated on his wife several times over the years, I think it would fit perfectly for that school for sure. So, but I do have to say that all jokes aside, that would be a pretty phenomenal hire for them, and he could definitely turn around things for him because he's a very good basketball coach. Shitty person, horrible human being, but a good basketball coach though.
Well, basketball can be aggressive, so makes sense.
Yeah, we've seen a lot, off the field, off the court stuff, and just a lot of the wrong place at the wrong time. So.
Don't say it, Brandon.
You're talking about a coach and his wife, Drew. Come on, bro. How is that?
It relates because we're potentially playing Ole Miss tomorrow. Brandon Miller's shooting has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So
beating his wife, never mind. All in all, just come to play in the SEC tournament, man. A lot to look forward to. I think this team definitely is going to have a spark on them, and dissing other teams won't help this team. So I think if our guys come to play, then we can just go out there and beat anybody. We've seen it all year.
Absolutely. Right now it's 46-44. So much game left. So probably a shit ton of fouls that I don't really feel like watching it right now. But
yeah. Keep me updated because I have South Carolina put $5 on them to win 25 in return. So a huge Gamecocks guy for the next 45 minutes.
Donated that $5 for a child to go to the orange and white game. What's wrong with you?
If you can't afford a $5 ticket to the spring game, you should not. You have serious financial issues that need to be addressed immediately. Like that. Any like buffoon that is like getting redneck angry, Farragut furious, made her feel bad about a $5 fucking ticket, like needs to get over themselves.
Buys 4 or 5 Trulies and fucking.
Let me say this. My niece, my 11-year-old niece's AAU basketball game costed $15. $15 a person to get in. $15. I was like, damn, are y'all also charging the players walking in? Because this is an outrage. That is something to get angry about.
I mean, yeah.
$5 to go watch the orange and white game in Neyland.
See Nico in action?
Whenever tickets are like 200 plus for a regular game. The regular season I get, that's outrage. $5 on a beautiful spring afternoon. Come on. I mean, it's outrageous. Yeah. And also, the people who are causing the argument likely have well over $5 to spend at said game. If you don't have the $5 and are making the argument, okay, we need to talk about a budget for you. If you have $100 fucking and you're complaining about $5, it makes no sense. It's irrelevant. Anyways.
I mean, it's all for the
even $5 has you strapped and the thing is free, you should not be going. If it's going to be that much of an economical effect on you, even if it's free and you're bitching about $5, you should not be going to these events. Like, that's not a disrespect. That's not because, I'm sure you work hard for your money, whoever you are out there that's arguing about this, but like, you should not be attending these things if $5 is what's going to go over the edge for you.
I mean, and like I saw, I think it's like all for Tennessee fund as well. So like $5 to support not just Tennessee football, NIL, nothing like that. You're supporting like the University of Tennessee and every single thing they do, like helping out and all that stuff. Like, so you don't even know where your $5 is going to. But I know 90% of these people are definitely in line at halftime for a $15 beer. So it's just an outrage.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and personally, I would buy it for $25 if I knew that 20 of it was going towards NIL. I wouldn't even hesitate about that. And
I would go to the Spire tailgate. I would go to the Spire tailgate, get black, and still do that. But like, it's all in all. I guess people have different priorities, and they want to talk about being great. They want to talk about Tennessee all around, not just athletics, like everything as a whole being great.
Speaking of football, since we could a little bit ago, football recruiting. Did you guys see what's the 2024 Ohio State 5-star wide receiver commit, Brando? He's in talks with Tennessee as well.
I have no idea. I know the one from Michigan.
Oh my God. I literally read this article on Rivals. Anyway, he's a number 5.
I'm not AP, Bubba.
Number 5 overall recruit in the country for the 2024 class, and they asked him about Tennessee, even though he's already an Ohio State commit. And he said that that we have one of the top quarterbacks in the 2023 class, and that he could see himself play with Nico at Tennessee if, quote unquote, everything goes right.
I mean, it's just hard to get an idea on the board because like last year, like the prior years of Tennessee recruiting, bro, like the board was like so bland. Like this year, they've had the opportunity to like fully expand. Like there's so many guys coming to other schools. Like there was an article on the Michigan State decommit who listed Tennessee in his top 4. There's so many guys that look at Nico and our 2024 QB target like Drew McIntyre that are just like completely blown away of what's going to be happening in the plug and play offense. I think we've always talked about plug and play abilities and seeing that number at every position. Now the recruits just didn't get on the field, with true freshmen like Squirrel White, Ramel Keaton blowing off, Jalen Hyatt, who just won the Blitnikoff Award and is now a first-round wide receiver, and they're seeing him on the combine. Like a lot of these guys, especially at the receiver position, are going to take note. Overall, man, like the 2024 class, I've been saying it. I think this is a class that finishes in the top 5, if not top 3. It might be one of the best classes we can kind of put our finger on. Like last year alone, in the month of February, I think we had the best recruiting overall. So the SEC is getting started a lot earlier recruiting, like a lot of the SEC teams are, but they're getting involved in top prospects, which you just have to do now in this day and age. But Tennessee, obviously the in-state class, the best it's been years, and then the out-of-state talent, Tennessee going all across the country recruiting. This class is going to be insane, and I think it's just kind of the start of it. If you're bitching about $5 or where your money's going, look at the recruiting classes, look what's being brought in. It's all for good reason.
When I hear interviews like that, say fuck $5, let's charge 10. Because if you want to recruit these guys, then what's $10? $10.
I mean, hey, if you want to
great, you want us to be great, fucking pay $5 or $10. That's one less Starbucks. That's one less pack of cigarettes. That is literally 1.5 less gallons of gas. I mean, it's just absurd to me. I just don't know.
It's not even just football, basketball, baseball, especially baseball. Like the volunteer club, volunteerclub.com, go on there. Memberships are literally from freaking $3.99 to $500, whatever is in your budget. Talk about it, be about it, support kids in NIL. It's simply easy to do that and trust the people that are got in Tennessee in that bright spot of collectives in this day and age. So I mean, it's so easy to talk about it, be about it. There's 101,000 of us in a freaking stadium on a Saturday night in football season. You all got come on, let's just be real.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do we want to get Logan in here?
Yeah, let's go and talk some baseball.
Get a little Diamond Balls action. Although last night was rough. Logan, what is happening?
What's up, guys? Just so y'all know, Drew charged me $5 just to join y'all tonight, and I didn't bitch about it at all.
Hey,
he's going towards NIL, Logan, so don't worry.
I'm all for it, man.
Hey, man, $5 is $5.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, man.
Just talking to ourselves. Nah, but for real, I will say I have not kept up much with baseball. I've been selling my tickets because I have not been able to make most of the games. And of course, last night, I was like, all right, I'm going to take a chill pill. I'm going to relax. I'm going to open up the game on my phone. I get to the 7th inning where we have 2 guys on base. And they say that the home run is a foul, and then we leave these guys on base, and I turned it off. So I didn't even know the score until this morning. Give us and our listeners kind of a breakdown of this season, breakdown of last night especially. I know Tony was pissed in his, post-game interview. I saw some of that. So update us all.
Yeah, so the main sticking point coming out of last night was just the piss-poor base running.
Sure.
And it's kind of been mentioned a couple of times this year, along with some defensive alignment, some communication issues. But really everything kind of came to a head last night in terms of the base running category. And yeah, you're right. No one was more pissed than Tony V. That's the most, emotion I've seen out of him in terms of anger and, just being totally upset with himself and the team and everything. But I'll say this, that's on the bright side, those things are fixable and they're coachable. This outfield, look, the bottom of the lineup, it's going to come down to who's going to step up and grab that outfield spot or solidify a DH role going forward. And they got a lot of guys in the mix. They need to figure it out soon, but first things first, you got to clean up the base running like we saw last night. But credit to Boston College. I mean, that's a tough team. And they were without their best player, a first-round pick in Travis Honeyman, and they still brought the energy like they did. So kudos to them. They're going to be a tough out in the ACC. But when it comes down to it, yeah, there's a lot of things they need to clean up. But I would take this. I mean, Tennessee has something no one else has in the country, and that's the best pitching staff in the nation. You can't create that. If you don't know what your weekend rotation is going to be, if you don't know what your pitching staff looks like at this point, a few weeks into the season, you're probably not going to figure it out. Tennessee has that more than figured out. Yeah, they need to figure out some innings for some guys, but they are far and away the best pitching staff in America. And baseball, at the root of everything, is a one-on-one affair. And you know, we can talk about the burst of offense in the BB Core era, the past decade, the 158 home runs Tennessee hit last year. But if you go and look at Omaha and some of the scores from last year, when things tighten up, when it's lose 2 and go home or win 1 and you're done, it comes to those Bulldogs on the mound more times than not. And so you've got that going for you, and you've got some time for everything else to clean up. And really, I mentioned the lineup 1 through 6 is pretty solid. The heart of the order has been phenomenal. The top of the order has been very good in terms of getting on base. So yeah, if they just clean up that stuff, I think they will. I think it gets better. And for those freaking out a little too much, I would beg you to go watch Mississippi State this year. So
it could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot like bad baseball could be a lot worse. So I'm on the up and up. I'm taking the optimistic approach right now.
I completely agree with you there on the pitching, man. Obviously, Dolander, huge guy, number one. Chase Burns, and then now Drew Beam. I feel like when he gets into March, like he's probably going to be hitting, or later into the summer, going to be hitting into the hundreds. We saw him, this past week, the ball's like throwing harder than ever. He's a lot stronger, looks a lot more fit on the mound. A guy that could probably go out there and later in the season when we get the postseason, like a guy that's going to be a bigger contributor than he was his true freshman year. Obviously, the hitting's been going well. Like Blake Burke on his way just now, like obviously almost at the record. Christian Moore, Christian Scott, guys that are getting involved. Griffin Merritt, like. This thing, the ball has been hit really, really well. I think you go back to this game, I guess Boston College in the base running. Like I had the final post ready, Tennessee. I was already kind of questionable when that Blake Burke triple happened, but when that pop out happened and Ethan Payne's on third base, I really did. I was ready to click post, man. I was ready to go ahead and submit the game in the victory, tagged up. I feel like what could have happened, nobody knows if he just didn't tag up after being too far there. But it definitely goes back to the base running, and I think Tennessee was maybe one hit or one more play from having that ball or having that game won. Props to Boston College, like you said, their hitting was absolutely crazy. Coming out in the top of the 10th, hitting that 2-run homer, that was insane. Just off leadoff, and then I feel like those shifts, like their defense was absolutely insane. I know they're kind of been outlawed in the majors like past year lately, but what works. It was impressive being without their top player. I think, it was just crazy to see them kind of stick in that long and not see us kind of take that game away. It really just does come down to base running, man. Tennessee went out there, played a hell of a game. I'm all for the Power 5 midweek games now. I think that's like some of the most entertaining baseball after you go out there and you play a team like Gonzaga or Dayton and you just sweep them. I like going out there and seeing this, especially a team that's probably going to be a sleeper going into the ACC, a silent conference in baseball, really. I don't see it as a bad loss. I definitely think it's something you can learn. It's going to get, a lot more energy into these guys, letting the team come to Lindsey Nelson Stadium and kind of like out-grit you, out-motivate you. Tony was pissed about that, and I think that's something that him and Elander are going to look at each other and know that they have to fix, and especially when it comes critical calls like that to send a guy home or keep him staying and what Tennessee can do, now they know. It's a learning experience, but it's sad it had to happen in a thriller like that.
Yeah, this team is still cutting its teeth. We got to remember this is a whole new lineup, a whole brand new lineup. And so I've been impressed with some of the production to this point. For example, Zane Denton hitting behind Blake Burke. We all knew coming in the transfer from Alabama could rip the leather off the baseball. But his on base is what has impressed me so much. He only walked 22 times all of last year in 232 at bats. He's walked 13 times this year already. And so, I mean, he's gone from averaging a walk every 10 or 11 at bats or so to a walk every game. And his walks are higher than the strikeouts. The on base, the OPS is up, and he's not really even sniffing out the barrels. He's just being really disciplined at the plate. There's a lot of meat left on the bone with this lineup, with this team. And like you said, once they figure it out, which I think they will, this thing will really get rolling.
Yeah, still kind of figuring out. And like you mentioned, like all the transfers, being without Maui the first week or so there, now seeing him kind of in that leadoff position, them kind of giving us, a week or two to get, the grips of everything. Now in the leadoff role to give Tennessee that better edge. They think. Me personally, that's my favorite lineup I've seen so far in batting order. I just think that all in all, like seeing these transfers finally kind of get plugged in and played after they weren't in the MLB like invitational series and stuff like that, seeing it come together. I know it's a long ways away until we find out our best lineup, but I think it's kind of, you have an idea or a glimpse of who can be the best lineup.
I guess my whole thing is people are in panic mode over starting out 11-3, and there's like a billion games in baseball. And there are several times where really good teams don't just start out super hot. Like you said, this is like literally a brand new lineup, and there's a lot of new things that they're having to figure out. And once again, I said it earlier, adversity builds character. Tony V getting pissed at them builds character. It builds passion. It builds drive. It gets these guys going. It lights a fire under their ass. And we have so many months, like we have so many games left. There's literally no need to panic. I don't even get excited about baseball, if I'm being quite honest, until like late April, where I'm just like, okay, like we've really turned a corner. I see so much improvement. It's warm outside. I don't care to go sit there, that type of thing. But once again, it's just all panic mode as always. But I think it's also because people have been so stressed out about the ups and downs in basketball. They were just counting on baseball to just immediately start hot. And you can't expect that. You really can't.
So what you're saying is you're the Ole Miss of last year who won the championship. They didn't care about it until late April going into May. You guys know how many games they lost? 23.
It was like what? Yeah, I was gonna say well over 20. They were below 500 in conference play, 14-16.
Yeah. See?
And I also think people need to remember, like, as well, like last year, you got to like also, I feel like to an extent, stop comparing this team to last season, because last year's team is one of the most historical teams in the history of the sport. I mean, there was a point where I think we wound up finishing having more home runs than runs allowed. So, like, it was just a absurd team, and I think you need to understand that, like, you're not going to have every single season under Tony Vitello, especially, have a team like that. But one question I do want to ask you, Logan, though, is when you're looking compared last year, replacing guys like Luke, Drew Gilbert, Jordan Beck, even though we do have guys like Blake Burke and Christian Moore have improved a lot offensively this season, there is a lot still questions in regards of, that production offensively within our fan base. Do you still think, as great as our pitching is, that the expectations should still be Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, I do personally. But yeah, and I think very quickly, though, to your point, people have forgotten that just a few weeks ago before the season started, Tony said, look, I'm not sure if this is an Omaha team. The hype and the preseason rankings are a little bit much just based on what we did last year in the last 2 years. And I think that's true. But, I'm partial to the pitching staff, and that's in a few guys in this lineup, and I think they can make it work. So me personally, yeah, I would predict them to be an Omaha team. I mean, the betting boards reflect that, but also the betting boards have a lot of players that are going off of, like what Tony V said, the name on the jersey, because Tennessee's a brand now in college baseball. But yeah, no, look, they've got some guys, whether it's a couple of guys that have been in the program, Christian Scott, Kyle Booker, or a couple of freshmen like Dylan Drawling and Reese Chapman. I'm crazy about Drawling. I think maybe I would give him the edge right now. He just doesn't have the sample that like a Booker does or somebody like that. So once they feel that bottom of the lineup, I think that's when we really see some improvement. And I think we're here soon. We're going to see some boundaries with Tony. Like he's been rotating guys and moving a lot of moving parts. I think they're going to stick to they're going to shrink that 5-6 guy rotation in the outfield for that one spot or DH spot, shrink that in half probably. And kind of, I don't know if they're thinking too much with the drills and stuff they're doing in practice, or if they need to hammer it more. But when it's all said and done, I think that, this is the best pitching staff in America. So obviously it's going to outweigh what you can do on the plate. But at the same time, I think this is a very capable lineup. You look at Ole Miss last year, that was a really good offense. Nothing compared to Tennessee. And nobody's asking this Tennessee lineup to be like Oklahoma was last year. Oklahoma was the best in terms of small ball. You talk about stealing bases, situational baseball. They were the best at it. And that's partially the reason why they got to Omaha. But the biggest reason they got there is because Cade Horton found another pitch in late April. And rode that thing and was a horse for them. But, I think that Tennessee can get there. We're not asking for a night and day change with the lineup or the base running category or anything like that. We're just looking at improvement. If they can just improve and have a guy step up and grab the bull by the horns, then they'll be in really good shape.
Yeah, I definitely think with that improvement will also come from like the fan buy-in. I know a lot of us, the majority of us are kind of like that, where we get more locked in Lindsey Nelson in conference play. But even last night against Boston College, that place was kind of rocking. Everyone was kind of hyped with how that game was going and expecting Tennessee to come out there with the win. I know they're kind of going to ride that. And like we said, being so used to, the Drew Gilberts, the Evan Russells, Luke Lipsius, guys like that, we're still figuring out these new transfers on our team and also the newer guys into this team. Once people understand like their fan favorites, obviously Blake Burke out here almost about to crush the record, not even halfway through the season. Insane. But, once they get the more of that buy-in, like to also get that belief, I think the confidence all around, they've always said, Lindsey Nelson's rocking. I just think over time, like this whole thing will form together from the roster to the team. And I think, it's a lot early on, 11-3, but our 3 losses to an ACC team, back-to-back conference champ in Grand Canyon, and a really good Arizona team in an MLB Invitational on one of the grandest stages in early baseball, like to start the season. So a lot to look forward to. The pitching's absolutely insane. I'm becoming a huge AJ Russell guy myself, and just kind of getting ready for that and seeing how deep that thing can go. It's already been, fun to watch the other Joyce brother. I'm just kind of excited to see what kind of comes out of the pocket. I know there's a lot of hidden tricks that we don't even know about or haven't even seen yet.
Yeah, and you mentioned it right there. Camden Sewell, yet to see him. Yeah. There's another weapon that I'm absolutely crazy about, and I'm dying to see what they do with him. Wyatt Evans is a big lefty with a big curve, and he's all over. Scouts are all over him for the 2024 draft. Sewell and Evans, they were kind of holding those guys back on a type of planned program to kind of work them in. We've yet to see him, and maybe I expect to see Sewell this weekend. You got Morehead State. There should be plenty of room to cut some innings back on your starters, considering conference play is next week, and work Sewell in somehow. Evans is a little more unclear. Tony's been more vocal about Sewell, saying he's a little more ahead. Wyatt is more of a planned thing, so I don't know if that means like another couple of weeks before he gets in, but Sewell should be ready like any game now.
That's really good to hear because, obviously it's so deep that the average fan won't hear about Camden Sewell. We saw what Camden Sewell does when he goes out there, has the ball in his hand on the mound against, especially Florida that everyone knows him for. That guy's a guy that go out there and close a game. And I think that's something that, that experience is going to be huge when he finally is able to get on the mound. Just a guy that's go out there and can be dominant, be an alpha, be confident in himself, and just get the job done. I mean, it's absolutely insane that you look at our rotation and there's 5 or 6 guys that are going to be playing in the league. How long? So,
Logan, do you know an update in regards to Seth Holverson, when they should be expecting him to play? Because I know
he's been
talks about that. Oh, has he been in?
Yeah, he's been in and he's looked really good, man. He's the type that obviously he's he came from Missouri, but he was hurt last year. He recovered from injury, and he was a starter for Missouri, and so it's how does he work into this staff? And he's going to be used whatever way they need him. He's been kind of a stopper for them so far. He could be a closer for the Vols if he needs to be.
Right.
I would be interested to see what they do come conference play because, like I said, he's been more of a bridge guy / stopper to this point. And he's got some nasty stuff, man. He's really changed his repertoire as a pitcher, and he credits, like everyone else, Frank Anderson, one of the best pitching coaches in America. He used to be a guy that would beat you in the zone up top. Now he's got some sinking action. He goes low in the zone, hammers you with a sinker. slider combo, and he's got a nice little curve he'll work in, and then he'll still get you up in the zone with some heat. So he's just got some nasty stuff right now. He's been looking good.
I can't help but go back to what Logan was saying the Tennessee baseball is now considered a brand, which I still can't wrap my head around that because, I remember back in the day when Todd Riley and Dave Serrano were both the head coaches, you'd get a can of beans up to the gate and get into the game for free. And then now all of a sudden you're talking about almost every single home game now is sold out. They expanded the stadium up to almost 10,000 seats, close to more or less within the next couple of years. So it's just unbelievable just to see the improvement that Tony Vitello has done with this program within such a short span of time. I would argue, besides football, it's the most exciting program right now in Tennessee athletics for sure.
Oh, yeah. College baseball is awesome, man. The passion is unrivaled. It's just, man, there's nothing like it. It's considered a niche sport by most people. But I kind of like it like that, to be honest, because it kind of creates a little more passion and pride within some of these fan bases that you see, whether it's a Grand Canyon. That Grand Canyon game was the biggest attendance they've ever had. I mean, folks showed up pretty much because of UT, of the Tennessee brand going against that club. And it's really great to see that Tony has elevated this program because, man, we talk about SEC football being so tough. Baseball, man, it will chew you up and spit you out. We experienced that. You mentioned, years of just being in the cellar, and it takes so much to climb the ladder in baseball. And Tony did it, man. He rose it from the ashes, and there's always going to be a couple at the bottom of the line. This year it's probably going to be Kentucky and Mississippi State. And it takes a while. It takes a special person to lead a program to try to flip some tables over and change some things. But man, what a ride it's been. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
I mean, I'm just kind of excited, man. I just thought Drew was going to take it, but I'm just excited, honestly, bro. Conference play. I know how that place gets rocking. It gives us something, ride for about. And I think this team is going to give us a reason why. Obviously, we're just kind of waiting on it, like I said a few minutes ago. But when we get that kind of reason and get that fire into this team, and hey, man, we're out here. They took away our daddy hats, they took away our fur coats. Now we got lightsabers and Darth Vader masks. We're out here having fun still, and I think they're going to get that fire under him. Obviously, after Tony V being absolutely pissed, and I think it's all going to come together. Tony V is going to grow his beard back out in SEC play. The team's going to be fine. And I think, we look at that pitching rotation, man, even if we have a bad day on the bats, we still got Blake Burke, we still got Christian Moore and Christian Scott, and the best rotation in the country. It's just, I think there's a lot to be confident in this team for. Is we have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I mean, Logan said it best about Tennessee becoming a brand in baseball because 5 years ago, you couldn't have asked me a single remote thing about baseball. Now I buy season tickets. And sometimes I give them away and sometimes I sell it, but I buy it because I want to be there for conference play and I want to be there because it's such a fun atmosphere. And I just remember I was kind of one of those people that a bandwagon fan, 3-4 seasons ago because everyone was talking about it. And I was like, all right, I can't stand to watch baseball on television, but let me turn it on. I turn it on. I'm like, holy shit, this team has swagger. This is exciting. I couldn't believe it. And then I went to the series win over LSU to go to in super regionals. And I was like, I love this. This environment is insane. It's what brings people to Tennessee or talks about Tennessee. It's always the environment and just how much passion there is. And sometimes we don't win it all, but it's important to keep all this passion and excitement around. And speaking of that, I'm watching ESPN right now. There's 38 seconds left for the first round of the SEC tournament in basketball. And it's 64-61 Ole Miss. So, And I lied earlier, not intentionally. My ESPN app glitched and it said that it was in bonus, but it so wasn't in bonus. So sorry to confuse everyone.
Damn it.
Now it says it's in bonus, but this thing glitches all the time. So I have no idea.
Multi-million-dollar company, it's great. Beautiful
Well,
app.
there's $15 on the line over here. You're stressing me out. So, oh my God.
That's 5 entries to the orange and white game if you win. Don't forget.
Logan, I do have one more question for you. Obviously we're always excited about the Vanderbilt series, even though this year they don't look very good. That should be hopefully, get 2 out of 3 out of that one. Which series this season are you like the most fired up about? Is us playing LSU on the road? Is it playing Arkansas again? Or even Georgia maybe? What stands out to you?
That's a good question because you got LSU on the road and Arkansas on the road. I would say one of those, but you also have Vandy at home. So you got your in-state at home this time with a lot of buzz and a lot of good gossip and finger pointing going on with that one. I'd say I'll break it down to road and home. Road, just because I may be going to it, I'm going to say Arkansas. But in terms of atmosphere, LSU is number 1 on my bucket list, and logistics for me this year, I don't think I'm going to be making it down to that one. But as far as home, no question about it, Vanderbilt. That one, that one's going to have some heat to it. And so will Arkansas on the road. So I'll go with those two.
Me and my boss, he's a full-on Vandy boy, and it's like an everyday thing at work. I think that's probably the series I'm looking forward to most at home, but definitely all the hype with LSU and the back and forth in the transfer portal the 2 programs had. A lot of, players ended up at LSU. Just all around, I think that's kind of the most hype thing when we looked into the rankings and everything going into this year and how they attacked the portal, what they did with their staff, and how they kind of flipped that thing around. Definitely looking forward to that just because it's probably going to be maybe the best series in conference. But all in all, man, I think that Vandy one, I need to sweep. I just need it for the personal preference. Can't lose to a Whistler. I can't go to work and have that guy on my back. So all in all, man, I think we need to get that sweep there. But I think we're going to see. I think I'm kind of confident they're going to kind of be dominant no matter what, just taking teams out. This team is elite. And if we can get to a point, I want to get to a point where teams are literally fighting themselves, like we saw with the Gonzaga pitcher that was losing it. I want teams to break down like that when they come to Lindsey Nelson. I've heard Rick Barnes quoted like that with his defense, Josh Heupel with his offense. I want to see teams come to Lindsey Nelson and want to lead mid-game.
I think this is going to be a great year. I won't say we'll win the conference because this is the hardest conference, not just in college baseball, but I think in all of sports. The talent levels between the top 10 within the conference is some of the best in the country. So, I won't go that far, but yeah, as far as the series go, it has to be Arkansas for me. I know LSU is going to be that high-profile, high-ranked matchup, but just the hatred that Tony V and Dave Van Horn have for each other is so awesome. It's so great for the sport, and we need more rivalries like that. And I think it's just going to be so exciting. The fans are going to be ruthless at that game over there in Fayetteville. I think it's just going to be an incredible atmosphere, and it would be phenomenal for this team if they were able to, snag that series.
I fully agree, and it's official just on the basketball side. We play Ole Miss tomorrow.
God damn it.
Not excited about that. We only beat them by 4 points when we played them, so I hope our asses are ready. But in terms of baseball, I am going to make it to some games. I didn't just buy my tickets to sell every ticket. I will be there, but I don't know. I'm just excited. It's always fun every time I go, but I haven't learned this team whatsoever. All the bigwigs from last year, they're all gone, and it's okay, who's our next favorite? So I'm just kind of partial, but I know that if anyone's going to turn them around and develop the players that they have, it's Tony Vitello and that staff. So I really don't think anyone has anything to panic over whatsoever, and it's a long season ahead, but it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, that's how I feel exactly. Not only just this season, but when you look at Tennessee baseball, all the things that have been in place that we've been doing from the last, the effect of the last 1 to 2 years, Obviously the new facilities coming, a lot of money being invested into Tennessee baseball, the contract extension with Tony V. You look at his 2024 class, his 2025 class, the talent that's coming in. It's easy to, look at right now and focus on these seasons right now, but the overall health of Tennessee baseball and the future of it, if this everything holds, the buy-in is absolutely insane from kids all around the country. And I think Tony V is kind of just getting started with his build of it. We've had those guys and those veterans on his roster. We're going to see more guys come in and kind of trust the process with Tennessee baseball, and the talent that is there is absolutely insane. I think we're just kind of scratching the surface of what this team can be. Hey.
Absolutely. I just wanted to thank Logan for coming on. I so appreciate it. You've given a lot of knowledge and insight into a team that I haven't followed much yet. And unfortunately, no crumble cookies via web show. So
Pain.
that's what it is.
Drew?
Yeah, I'll try to figure out a way next time.
Yeah, Logan, thanks again for coming on, dude. I mean, great little rundown that you had for this baseball team. I think, people are a little stuck up about, basketball, but this is going to be a fun baseball season. I can't even talk today. I'm so tired right now. But, yeah, thanks again, Logan. It's been awesome, and we'll definitely have you come on again for sure, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, make sure to, go give Logan a follow at LDQ Sports too as well. Killing it with the content. Baseballs, obviously, some of the main sources for the baseballs, just all around the grind's been insane. Just to follow that. I mean, obviously, a lot to look forward to. A really, really tough series this weekend against Morehead State. Going to be a tough one. Obviously, want to see how Tennessee does in the SEC tournament, playing Ole Miss tomorrow. A lot to look forward to that. The baseballs, though, man, I think we're confident. I think there's a lot of swagger, and I think, when it comes down to it, there can be some confidence there, man. I think we're all confident there. So. What did I say that was bad?
Morehead State.
Who do we play?
They're not that. We should sweep that one. That was not a tough matchup. Boston College is.
I thought I said the wrong name.
Dude, tough matchup against Morehead State. Come on, no disrespect for them.
I mean, it's going to be
sure
a
they all work hard, but
game. We're going to run rule them twice, and maybe I don't know.
We should score 20 runs in each game, though. I mean, I'm just saying.
Really tough game.
Oh my god.
It's baseball, man. Stop dissing the great game. It's 9 innings.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
Oh goodness.
Does anyone else have anything else to say?
Drew lost 3 orange and white tickets in his bet tonight for $15.
I'm not going to go to the damn thing.
I think we should invest in Tennessee athletics. Go to the orange and white game. Spend $5. Spend $11 to go to Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Show them the baseballs while you can before it gets crazy in conference play. Tune in tomorrow. Watch the BasketVols. Just invest your money in Tennessee. Stop bitching. You got money. We all know you got money. Just put
and
it in
if
there,
you're complaining about $5, you should not be going to any athletic events. I'm sorry.
Man,
that's not a diss towards you personally. It's just I want you to make the right financial decisions, and that is not one of
those. Go to beat-ups, catch it in, get drunk there, and fucking whatever.
If you're complaining about $5, you should probably stop complaining about it on Twitter and just go find a way to make $5.
You can sneak in cheese bites, right, Drew?
Yeah,
the cheese
exactly.
Sneak in some
Drew's snuck in a lot of things.
Oh, pipe down. That's fake news.
Neyland Stadium, the third Saturday in October.
Logan,
oh
you can ask Logan. I am always very respectful at UT athletic events. Always respectful. Except Missouri last year in baseball, that was tough. But
and the third Saturday in October, and that thing happened. Pleasure, Logan. Obviously, want to have you on again, man. Appreciate you for all the great work you do. Killing it.
Appreciate it, Logan.
Mo, send us out.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We are done. Tune in tomorrow. I will have it loaded up at work on the TV screen. I usually move the patient tables over in front of the television when we do the work day. So I will be watching, and I hope for the best. This wasn't the matchup I wanted, but let's hope that the right guys come out with the right energy tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, from all of us, good night. Go Vols.
Go Vols.